All right, what's up guys? So I'm going to be ranking the fastest ways to 10K per month in 2025. You know, perhaps if it was 2022, YouTube automation would be something, or perhaps TikTok shop. But the barrier to entry into more of these complex business models, it's significantly easier. First things first, this is a SaaS YouTube channel. I do teach you guys how to build SaaS. Monthly recurring revenue is the highest leverage play aside from social media, period, when it comes to business. So this is definitely going to be in the S tier. Just because you have high leverage, everything's digital on the internet. The barrier to entry is easier nowadays with AI code. Otherwise, it would be probably an A tier. So you can pretty much build a SaaS application within a weekend or week, depending on the complexity. But I built a pretty complex iPhone app literally in a week. I don't even know how to code. Also, you have the recurring revenue and also the exit potential. So if you could assume success in any business model, you would want it to be in SaaS. Or another high leverage opportunity would be to pretty much be famous. Daniel Dalen, so having a personal brand, I'm on Godzi. Guys, if you're famous or you have influence in any type of way in your specific niche, you can literally sell anything. You can sell a community. You can partner up in real estate. You can start your own crypto coin. Okay, you can start your own e-commerce. Yeah, guys, so S tier would probably be like, I know I kind of spoiled it, but there might be one more S tier, but S tier would pretty much be SaaS and personal brand, guys. So let's see beneath here on what else would be. Bro, I'll just get it out the way. Like stocks, I want to say is like C tier, almost D tier. It takes zero skill. For the people who do have skill in stocks and know what they're doing, otherwise it'd be in D tier. If you don't have skill, if you don't even know what you're doing in stocks, you just read something off of Reddit, which by the way, anything finance related in Reddit is majority of the time manufactured to have you guys buy in a crypto coin, a stock, etc. So if you don't know what you're doing with stocks, it'd be in D tier. If you do know what you're doing when it comes to stocks, it's in C tier. That's probably the maximum. Majority of you guys don't even know what you're doing when it comes to stocks. So it's D tier, and it's right there next to sports gambling because you are gambling with your money. The only reason why I'd have, so this is Coinbase, crypto at C tier is because if you are in your late teens or early 20s, mid 20s, or perhaps late 20s, you kind of have more of a grip on how the crypto space works rather than stocks. And I think if you were to assume success in crypto, you do have higher returns, period. So that's that. So yeah, guys, stocks pretty much great for long-term investing. It's not income. It really takes no skill. All three of these don't really take skill. It's not a business model unless you're managing funds. And then for crypto, it's also high risk, good asymmetric bets, but not consistent enough to have an income. Again, unless you're managing funds. And then, bro, I don't even have to go over sports gambling. I can't believe this wouldn't even pop up on the tier list if it wasn't for someone asking me about the business model, but I have to put it here because it's just, quite frankly, a business model. Now, if you're doing it for fun on Sunday, there's a football team, perhaps do that. The next in line would be sales. And I don't know whether to put this in your B tier. It really depends. Like, what is sales? How do we define sales? Is sales working with an influencer personally and closing all of their info products? So that could be A tier, right? But if sales would be like working at your local corporate or working at your downtown corporate office and like perhaps getting a cut and getting like shit leads from your manager, then I would say you're C tier. But pretty much broadly, guys, if you're doing sales like via internet and you know you're like 3 deviations from the founder, 3 or less, I would put in A tier because you'll learn so much. You'll learn the funnel, you'll learn pretty much everything, but sales can mean many things. So to be safe, I would say B tier. I think everybody should at some point hop on a sales call and perhaps take a sales course. I'll put it in A tier just because sales is a high income skill, low barrier to entry, and can lead to agency or SaaS if scaled. I gotta put that in B tier actually, because you can't really outsource sales. But if you were to do an agency, so basically I found my success with having an agency. First success. And by the way, guys, I offer one-to-one mentoring in the description below. Whether it's your first customer or you're already at 3K per month and just want to hit 10K per month, doesn't matter the phase you're in because I walk the same path that you're in right now, all the way to listing my SaaS for sale to private equity. So this is only for the serious people who want to speed up their growth. Let's get back into the video. Yes, it would be a real life business, but I do want to include it here because sometimes the less sexy businesses are the ones to go forward. Now, if you were to assume success in any of these businesses, obviously you want to do the S tier. And out of the two, being an influencer or or starting a SaaS, this is significantly the easiest one. But if it's like you're hedging risk and you don't have much money to spend, perhaps starting a real life agency. So for me, I would outsource videographers and then outsource an editor to then edit the footage the videographers would submit to the editors, and then I'd pass that on to the client, and then I post it on Instagram, and then I get more clients on Instagram. And I have a VA that to overlook everything, to manage the scheduling. I would say it's A tier because harder to scale. Yes, you have an income gap. Yes, you're probably the easiest barrier to entry is to start an agency locally where you're from. But the kicker is you're capped out on like how many customers you can exhaust and burn through. And by burn through, I just mean like work with. And it's like you're probably capped out. You're probably not going to exceed like 15K per month with an agency, guys, realistically. And it's like by the time you have systems and processes to make an agency passive, you may have been better off like starting a SaaS, because guys, a lot of these are equal in friction to start and to maintain and to scale. It comes down to like which one is worth. So barrier to entry, I would say like just as easy for sales as far as like starting an agency. But obviously with sales, it's gonna be a bit tougher to like outsource yourself rather than an agency. It's very easy. So that goes to my next one. So school community, I would say A tier as well. Bro, I would say SaaS and school is pretty much the same thing. You do have to deal with people canceling out of your membership, etc. But you could prevent churn easier in SaaS rather than school. I do think having a community opens up more doors into other business models, right? Through like affiliates, which I actually don't have in here, but I would put affiliates at B tier. School can lead into many things like real life ticket sales. It could lead into affiliate marketing. It could lead into actually pitching your SaaS. And it can also accessorize like your personal brand. So whenever you post, you'll get more engagement, which also leads into more sales. So school is I would say school, it would be A tier. I think there is definitely a place for a community and a flywheel for personal brand, but A tier just because it's less concrete than SaaS. Yeah, you can't sell a community. You're going to deal with higher churn. There's less real value besides like the community. So a lot of people use school to further upsell something, like I mentioned. The next one, I think this is a real business. I've personally had an Airbnb, and yes, it's higher barrier to entry because you're buying a house, but there's other ways to get into the rental market. So for Airbnb, I'm going to put this at B tier. If I could, I would do B.5 tier because I do think it's better than sales. Bro, matter of fact, I'm going to put it at A tier. And this is why. Because a lot of entrepreneurs don't have longevity in the game. They'll bounce from sales to agency to personal brand to SaaS to maybe doing a school community because Alex Hormozy is posting about it, to then like maybe bouncing in crypto. But one thing that you'll always have is real value, a property that grows in equity every year, something that spits off 1 to 2K net profit. And if you buy in the right area, it's very easy to like offload the property as well. So I will say barrier to entry is high, barrier to exit liquidity is high, but you do get a lot of tax advantages in the real world. You also get consistent income if you buy in the right place. And also the kicker with all these other business models is you have to produce the demand yourself. Maybe except for sales. But when it comes to SaaS, personal brand, having a community, agency, sports gambling, you have to produce the demand yourself. But when all it takes is just having the product and then listing the product on an app, and the app takes care of the demand yourself. Guys, I've done it before. I bought my first Airbnb 300 miles away in Gatlinburg, which is the Smoky Mountains, up there with Disney World as far as travel destinations, when I was 23 years old. Yes, I was psyoped by these real estate gurus. Okay, I was stretching like my finances thin, but as soon as I listed it, my phone just went like ching ching, and I would get $800 booking, $1,200 booking. Someone booked 4 days at like $300 per day during a holiday weekend, right? So that's why I put it at A tier. Yes, I've done stocks, I've done crypto, I've done sales, I've done pretty much all of these business models, but yeah, so I'm putting that at A tier. Because I think, yes, the revenue would be slow, but if you guys hold on to like a real estate property for a couple years, then you'll see more returns than having a sales job or having an agency. But it's like, it could be B tier because it's not an online business. So we like online businesses. So TikTok Shop and organic drop shipping, I'll say, is right next to sales on B tier, just because TikTok Shop takes care of like demand for you, but you don't really own anything like you would a community or your brand as an agency or a property or your personal brand or SaaS. You can kind of see a theme down here. You don't really own anything down here. Like, yes, you do sales. Yes, you have like a website for e-commerce, but unless you white label, which means taking that product and like actually making a brand out of it, then you're not hitting A tier. Now, a lot of you guys have burned through the courses for drop shipping dropshipping and you guys realize like, yes, there is success in dropshipping, but if you're going to be learning the same marketing skills as you would in dropshipping, you'd rather do SaaS. Because number one, in dropshipping, when someone buys one time, it's like, okay, now I got to find the next customer. But in SaaS, when someone buys one time, their membership is renewing the next month. So this is more like you're hunting and killing your food. You're looking for the next animal to kill. And this is more like planting a garden and letting it grow. Now, before AI came out, I would have SaaS below dropshipping just because barrier to entry would be hard. But it's like, dude, if you're learning Facebook ads, if you're learning organic marketing, you might as well just figure out how to make a SaaS. So the last one is YouTube automation unlocked. You can kind of tell by like, this was the first image that popped up when I typed in YouTube automation. It looks scammy, bro. I would say YouTube automation is C tier. Bro, if you're relying on any platform to pay you, whether it's like the TikTok Reels monetization program or YouTube AdSense monetization program, then this is automatic C tier, if not D tier. You don't want to do that. Now, if you're doing YouTube automation to then promote a brand over here, a community, your personal brand or dropshipping or SaaS, then I would say B tier. YouTube automation, I like it because it's semi-passive, but it's super competitive. And it's like, who's to say if you were starting YouTube automation and learning all of these skills, video editing, outsourcing, a team, to actually turn this into a business, why not have a personal brand? You can't sell YouTube automation just like you can't sell a personal brand, but which one has more pull? A personal brand. But I can see the appeal with YouTube automation because a lot of people don't want to show their faces. But guys, let me tell you this. The reason why someone has more money than you is not because they're more smart. It's because they're more bold. You guys need to be more bold. If you guys want to start a personal brand, show your face, dude. Seriously, we're all not pretty. Like, just show your face. Fortune favors the bold. You don't want to rob a bank for $1. You want to rob it for $1 million. So anyways, I don't think I have the info product in here. So I would also put info at A tier just because scalability is easy. The closest you get to like selling air, the more leverage you have. Okay. So SaaS is air. Personal brand is air. Community is air. Dropshipping is not air. Sales is air, but you can't like scale it. So the closer you get to air, which is information, teaching people how to do things, you know, I say that's pretty high leverage. And there's also some fulfillment that comes with that as well. And there's also a flywheel because if you get other people results, then you can post those results and more people will come and learn from you. And ultimately there's a mutual benefit of success from you, the producer, and the consumer. So that's pretty much it, guys. If you guys want help on how to start a SaaS, then click the link in the description. But yeah, have a good one.